Hello, everyone. Welcome. And today we're talking about when siblings won't stop fighting. So, how parents can keep the peace and help kids learn to resolve conflicts. Anyone with more than one child knows that even siblings who are the best of friends can still get on each other's nerves. And it's certainly understandable. They're forced to live under the same roof and spend much of their free time together. Inevitably, they are competing for limited attention and resources. Who wouldn't get irritated in that situation, at least once in a while?
But what's a parent to do when things escalate and it seems like the kids are fighting constantly? It can make the home feel like a battlefield and the adults more like peace negotiators than parents. Fortunately, there is a bright side. While siblings' squabbles can certainly be stressful, having siblings give kids good practice for social skills that they need in the real world. If parents see these things as opportunities to teach, that can be really positive. Learning to healthily navigate conflicts with siblings can teach kids about things like taking turns, sharing, body autonomy, when to turn into an adult, and use words rather than physical force to solve a problem. Here are some things parents can do to help their kids to help keep the peace in the home. Get at the root of the conflict. So often parents end up playing referee, breaking up fights and calling fouls as they happen, over and over and over again. But to truly break the cycle, it's crucial to take a step back and try to get at the root cause of the conflict might be so you can address that instead. For example, if it seems like your kids are always fighting over toys, try to look for a pattern. When does it happen? Frequently, siblings will start fighting over a toy seemingly out of nowhere after a brief period of peace. What the kids might really be fighting for is their parents' attention after they've played nicely for a long period of time. Kids aren't really so concerned about the toy. It's more that they've figured out these patterns of behavior that when I yell, when I kick, someone gets involved immediately.
Another thing is to praise the positive. Laying some positive groundwork may help reduce these negative behaviors. This can be done by shifting the focus to recognize cooperative behavior as it's happening. Stop and praise your kids right then for playing collaboratively. Get involved proactively to say, I see you guys sharing that toy, or wow, great job taking turns, or wow, I love how you guys are playing together. Letting them drink up that positive attention may help to reduce their need for negative attention later. For every time you catch them fighting, you want to catch them playing nicely together 3 to 5 more times. We want to encourage that in order to really change their behavior. Another way to create a more positive social dynamic is to celebrate toodling rather than tattling. Toodling is calling someone out for positive behavior. So, for example, encourage your kids to come and tell you when their sibling shares a toy or demonstrates kindness. Then make a big deal out of the positive actions of both children. Depending on your family culture, you may want to start a penny jar that gets them pizza night when it's full, or have some other means of documenting all the good deeds.
Make a plan. Of course, even with all the positive reinforcement in the world, siblings will still fight. Another thing that parents can do ahead of time is to coach their kids, often the older sibling in particular, on how to respond in a productive way rather than escalating a conflict. Also, parents can make clear that there's a difference between running to a parent every time the slightest disagreement and seeking help to resolve an issue. And of course, they should alert an adult if a sibling gets violent. If there's a constant source of conflict, make a plan. Making a plan can help ease the tension. Setting a timer for taking turns with a coveted object is another great actionable tactic. And it's important to be clear on what items should be shared and what can be reserved. Is a brand new toy off limits? Certain special items? Parents can give kids each 3 stickers, for example, to put on 3 special things that are off limits, which can be switched as their moods and likes change. The important thing is to be clear and consistent and to set up predictable outcomes, all while praising them anytime they do a great job with it. The more proactive you can be, the better off you're going to be in terms of setting the stage for success. If you take something away, make sure to give it back.
Even with all this in place, there are going to be times when the kids are playing tug of war with a toy and it feels like the only way to intervene is to remove the source of conflict. It's appropriate to take something away, but sometimes parents forget to give the toy back to children within a few minutes and give them a chance to practice using it appropriately. Otherwise, they aren't really learning how to work collaboratively. This may mean getting them to agree to taking turns with the help of a timer, then praising them when they do a good job. That's not fair is a common cry of children of all ages, and it's easy for parents to get caught up in making sure that everything is on even footing between siblings. Life isn't fair, and it's not realistic that every single thing in the home be equal at all times. The older kid may get to stay up later, and while the younger kid may feel that this is a great injustice, it's up to the culture of your family and what you're comfortable with. If there's discontent over something like this, parents can explain the logic behind the unfair exception. But we don't need to give explanations for everything. If that's the rule, that's the rule. Parents can model dealing with unfairness by sharing stories with their kids about things that seemed unfair to them and how they dealt with it. For example, someone at work gets more vacation days because they've been at the organization longer. That can feel unfair, but they can understand why it works that way. But generally, kids actually end up saying, "That's not fair," not so much because they're so concerned about fairness, but actually because that's what gets their parents to attend to them. Dealing with children with special needs. And what about when one has emotional or developmental challenges that may demand extra attention or accommodations? Dr. Lee says to approach this situation similarly, with forethought, planning, and lots of positive praise. Talking openly about the issues their brother or sister may have is important for siblings, as well as listening carefully to their concerns and feelings. Behavior that's difficult or disturbing is less upsetting and less likely to incur retaliation by the sibling. when it's understood that it's not willful. Being generous with support and encouragement can also help keep a sibling from acting out to get attention. If one kid needs a behavior sticker chart, for example, offer one to the other kid as well. Also, setting aside special one on one time with each sibling when possible. Even just a monthly breakfast date or 5-minute game of tic tac toe can go a long way towards making everyone feel important.
Thank you for listening to this. And we also wanted to remind you that remote counseling services are available during this stressful time. If you would like to speak to a counselor, please contact your school's office and they will again contact us. Thank you.